thank you for coming today to present to us. So we have Theresa Schütz with us today. She's a PhD candidate in the STEAM program at TU Vienna, and she's in the Department of this Architecture and Spatial Planning, right? And the Institute of Arts and Visual Design.
Exactly.
Yes, that's got quite a mouthful for me to remember. But yeah, she has kindly agreed to present us today. So we really have I think for the first time, a really interdisciplinary view on responsible computing. And yeah, you'll tell us what you'll present, but yeah, good to go. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So yeah, I'm happy to be here because I think there are so many links between architecture and computational thinking and all of the analog and the digital infrastructures are already intertwined, entangled. But if you look, for example, in the field of education, there is a lack of having these new perspectives on space, on media, on infrastructure, on media ecology. And I'm very looking forward how you interpret this. I do this by reading artworks through the lens of some writings and theories of Felix Guattari. He's a theorist and he's a psychoanalyst who wrote in the 1980s the three ecologies. And yeah, I will show you some works of art I went through. So maybe you get an insight what his notion of transversality and ecosophy is all about, because this would be my approach to responsibility in computing or in architectural design. So what you see in the background is a top shot of the rainforest, in the Amazonian rainforest. And it's a film still of a work of Uira Sodoma. He's a person of two spirits, an indigenous person of two spirits from very small, and an artist and an educator and a biologist. And he's trying yeah, to interpret, or at least I think so, what can be a place, a community, a spirit that gives us an idea of how we are interconnected within the world. And this is a quote of Guattari from the three ecologies, and this is like a manifest or also like a toolkit of how to get there. And I will start with this because also my aim would be how to design environmental spaces of emancipation. And Uira Sodoma is, as I already said, an artist. He's doing performances. He's using Korea and drag practices and combining this by making costumes and these really exciting pictures to show how we are part of the struggle and the planet and the climate crisis. This is he's working with the indigenous kids and he is really skeptical about these new ways of decolonizing in the arts, as well as in education and design realms in the Western society, because he thinks this is a new form of colonialization. What we are doing now, that we are taking these artworks, these perspectives, these decolonial ways of thinking, these narratives from there to integrate it in our culture, like greenwashing, let's say. Yeah. This is an artwork I saw at the Ars Electronica Festival. It is quite a huge map showing how and it's by Kate Crawford and Ladan Yola. I hope I pronounce him correctly. It's called Calculating Empires, a genealogy of power and technology. And it's showing how all of these driving forces of the digital transformation and are interweaving into political systems, architectural systems, educational systems, and are kind of a driving force. I took also a picture of this of this tree you can see, and it was really interesting for me also showing this networked idea of education, of information, and putting into context of education as a right and grassroots organization. So yeah, so maybe you have a kind of idea what I'm how I would like to think about responsibility with you, as well as the title suggests. Relational matters is a lot about ecosophical aesthetics and feminine materialism. I will go through a few concepts of Donna Haraway, and this is also linked to feminist ideas of space and spatial matters and media ecology. I will go through Code and Clay with Shannon Matten. This is also very interesting because I think that there are so many links already between architecture thinking, or let's say spatial thinking or relational thinking, and the way you think that could be very interesting to combine in an educational approach to media ecology and spatial education. Yeah, a few notions of responsibility. What is it all about in my, yeah, so what do I think about it? And then I will go through example. It's called trust making. It was 4 years in interdisciplinary international arts research project at the Academy of no, applied arts. Yes. Applied arts at the Department of Social Design. And I took part. I did also a scenography workshop, trying to link the analog and digital realms together with kids around the age of 12 or to 14 years. To address skills we really need in these times, which are also a part of futures or post-digital literacy. Yeah, to come to an end and ask about what if schools had no walls. Yeah. Another very interesting picture showed by an exhibition at the Ars Electronica Center in Linz right now. Until you can go there. I think it's very interesting, and I quote: "Everything is interconnected: the earth, nature, technology, materials, flora and fauna, and we humans. All seem separate, yet they are deeply intertwined, constantly influencing and shaping each other." The exhibition brings together artworks and scientific projects that address the complex relationships between nature, human infrastructure, climate change, and the energy transition. It invites us to reflect on this relationship and draw connections to the urgent climate issues we face. Yes, we know this is all around, and already in 2018 there was a book. It was published in 2018 by Patricia McCormack and Colin Gardner, who went through the writings of Felix Guattari as well, and talked about ecosophical aesthetics. Maybe they invented the term. I'm not so sure about that, because this is not so clear. But it is about art that can act as a medium. I would say also as an environment, as an experience that can catalyze change. And this is very important to allow us to see the world differently. Why? Because we need new narratives. This is what Donna Haraway is talking all about. We are very used to thinking of the survival of the fittest, and we are not able anymore to think a world not from a human perspective, not from an anthropocentric perspective. And she's advocating for a more situated, more intertwined, entangled way of knowledge and a way of thinking worlds as entangled. She has this symbol poetic term within her writings, and this is referring to Lynn Margulis. Lynn Margulis was a biologist and a researcher together with James Lovelock. They published the Gaia hypothesis, and this the main concept is that collaboration and the endosymbiosis. So as it is said here, the making with the collaboration was the reason why life of evolution. So how it's not about the fittest survives, but it's about the collaboration of organisms and their environments. Patricia Piccini is showing this feminist new materialism way of thinking in her artworks, and I'm not sure what you think about it, but I think it's a very sad, but also a very realistic, a super hyper realistic perspective. What is making kin, making with, and this Cyborg Manifesto, which was already published in 1985 by Donna Haraway, could look like if we really, if it manifests in now. So feminist new materialism, to sum it up, is beyond the dualism of nature and culture, mind and body, object, subject, and so on. And it really highlights this entanglement, the interconnectedness, but as well as the agency of material. So everything has a role, everything has an agent, has an agency, and is shaping the world together with us. So this is really important if you think about architectural education and planning, where we are used to think about cities, urban environments, to suit the human, but not the non-human world. There are a lot of different art projects that could be summed up under the term post-digital art, that try to interpret and also show and make visible this feminist new naturalism. This is an online exhibition. I think it's really interesting. You can walk through. It's a garden where a lot of different art projects which are addressing the questions which are popping up if you think about a modern human world and the life which is not really about nature here, culture there, but nature, cultures, and bodies and as minds and becoming of instead of subjects as a whole or as an entity, as an identity. And it could be really inspiring to go through this, but I will I will ask about the links or the possible touches of architecture and informatics, and that's why I chose those pictures from this natural surrogates garden. This is on the left side, Marissa Olson, Bloom Room. She is showing a server room, a very dystopian idea of a world where we are kind of have no real life anymore, but just adding some nature objects to fill the void. On the other side, we have a very similar approach. I think it is from the 1980s, Klaus Deck. He did, and it's called A New Life Flourishes Out of the Ruins of the City. And he's showing completely urbanized area where the infrastructure have kind of shaped the whole environment, and life is like an alien. But nature has also, in both of these pictures, the possibility, the ability to, or is shown in a romantic way, with the ability to claim the space back. So I think it was familiar to, maybe this is familiar to you, the media ecologies. The first moment, I'll quote here Marshall McLuhan. So when perhaps the largest conceivable revolution occurred on October 17, 1957, when Sputnik created a new environment for the planet. For the first time, the natural world was completely enclosed in a man-made container. At the moment that the Earth went inside this new artifact, nature ended and the ecology was born. So I think it is clear the core idea is that media is not just a tool, but it creates environments, the way we can it creates environments, and it's also like a second environment that structures how we think, how we communicate, and how we relate to the world. From the moment we could see the world from outside, like having it in our hands, we created, or we started to think differently about our planet. It became an artifact. It became something outside of us, not something we are part of. So this is the whole story about media ecology, I think. And it's the same what Shannon Metten is talking about. She published a book, it's called Code and Clay, Data and Dirt. And she is describing in a very poetic way her walks through the city of New York, interpreting the atmosphere, everything, what is around, as part of a media-rich, as she calls it, media-rich environment. And the city as information, the city as a computer, the city as data is very familiar to us nowadays. We are talking about smart cities and so on. But her approach is to see it in this very interconnected way, to interpret it in a very interconnected way, but not just in a technical, from a technical perspective, but from a perspective that is also thinking cities as media, but embedded with stories, histories, and codes. So again, there's this post-human perspective, which is not dividing the technical and the real world, but infrastructures and as lived material or vibrant material. But she thinks that if we as planners and architects, and maybe you as well, dream about the informatic urbanism, that we neglect all of the informational ecologies of the cities. So the informal markets, where we are negotiating the forms of performative knowledges like dance, ritual, cooking, sports, and so on. And she advocates for another perspective, not this solely technical or technological driven perspective on planning and managing cities and thinking cities. Because, yeah, how we think things become. Again, in these three ecologies, I would like to quote that, and could be, yeah, this is really like a manifesto. Felix Guattari ends to bring into being other worlds beyond those purely abstract information, to engender universes of reference and existential territories, to dare to confront the vertiginous cosmos so as to make it inhabitable. These are the tangled paths of the triecologic vision. So yeah, it's not easy to read, but I show what it is all about. So it is a very critical perspective on the, as he calls it, integrated world capitalism, a very globalized world where mass media is kind of creating sound walls that surround us, that capes, where individuals captured by their environment. He's talking about these refrains, and he thinks that the capitalistic ideology is kind of enclosing us, and the mass media as an arm, or technology as an arm of capitalistic thinking. This leads, as he says, to a market to a modifying of our subjectivities to deeper and deeper levels. And we have the idea that the world is shrinking, and so we are. So it is de-empowering us. And this is the first page. He starts with kinship networks. I quote, kinship networks tend to be reduced to a bare minimum. Mass media consumption is poisoning our relationships, and every form of otherness tends to lose all its asperity. And on another page, he writes about this dualistic thinking. So now more than ever, nature cannot be separated from culture. In order to comprehend the interactions between ecosystems, the mechanical sphere, and the social and individual universes of reference, we must learn to think transversally. So this is all about this transversally thinking. It's thinking beyond dualisms. It's a thinking through things, through different levels or registers of ecologies, like the mental, so the self, the social, so our social environment, and the environmental ecologies, which is kind of our surroundings, our environments. And he's also warning us of those men, of those ideas, like here, Donald Trump. It is 30 years ago, by the way, using this system where we have like an apparatus of mass media apparatus, which is part of this capitalistic ideology. He's talking about algae. So it's this virile what he's talking about. So what is it all about? Our responsibility. Urban planning is about the manifestation of those capitalistic ideologies. I think, if you code or if you build, there's not so much difference. We are shaping future. We are shaping our worlds, our environments. And here I will quote Audre Lorde, a feminist, Black feminist, who was asking the activists and the intellectuals, are we doing the work? Because we tend to talk and talk and talk, but what is really about acting? What is really about doing future, doing change? And I think this is really important now, because everything gets very complex, hyper complex, and we are facing huge problems. So if you really ask again and again, what can I do now? It helps you to get out of this fear about not being sufficient. Especially working together with youth. is for me something where I always experience myself as very excited of how can I really help to do something. I'm not able to change anything in my own life. So it helps me to think of, and this is a play by Kenneth Lonergan from the 1980s. It helps me to think about youth not in the context of climate change, loss of democracy, and so on and so on we are facing now, but as a display with the always relevant topics of individuation, love, friendship, and the search for your own place in the world. But for sure, I went through some very dramatic studies about anxiety or future anxiety of youth in the context of climate change and digitalization. And as you can read here, 59% are very or extremely concerned about climate change, and about 72% report fear about the climate crisis impact on their lives. As we know, digital media amplifies the awareness, but also intensifies future anxieties without providing clear paths of engagement. But this was the same with newspapers. Another very important issue about youth is that there is a digital isolation which is expanding, and here also some numbers. In Germany, youth spend an average of 173 minutes daily on social media, reducing face-to-face interaction and community involvement. And of course, with social isolation, there's also can also be digital dependence, and approximately 6% of adolescents in Germany suffer from problematic media use, totaling around 360,000 affected youth. This is also leading to reduced development of social skills, of course. And another point is that the alienation of the body and the body image is kind of provided by digital infrastructures like Instagram or TikTok, where this kind of filter culture is spreading. That leads to many girls aged 15 to 19 which that edit photos before sharing to meet aesthetic standards. 58% feel dissatisfied with their natural appearance, and so on. There's also an alienation from nature, if you can call it like that. But the declining of nature engagement, so only 21% of Austrian youth participated in extracurricular environmental projects, reflecting significant drop in hands-on environmental learning. And this is quite funny, or I don't know, but 65% of surveyed youth could not identify where the sun rises. So post-digital literacies is therefore all about this critical awareness of and understanding of the hybridity of the digital and the analog realms, and it's advocating for an ethical engagement, encouraging responsibility in behavior in a world where digital actions have real life impacts. It is more or less directed to the teachers, not so much to the pupils, but I think because we need new teaching skills to critically evaluate technology's role in society, helping individuals move beyond mere tool use toward informed ethical participation. So this is really directed to teachers. But I will go through now to an example. I already mentioned the trust-making project at the University of Applied Arts, which I took part as a co-researcher, and which was around, which took place in 4 different countries, 4 different cities, but in Vienna was located at Zukunftshof Vienna, at the city fringe, at the outskirts of Vienna in the 10th district, on a brownfield or a former farm, which was used or which went through interim uses, cultural uses, creative uses during the last 5 years. And I show this because I think this approach of trust making was a much more broader or transversally thinking approach, because it was all about building up these kinships again, building up this informal markets, not really markets, but what Shannon Matters talks about, it's these communities, is or communities of practice. And future literacy is also since 2012 defined by the UNESCO as the ability to imagine, anticipate, and create diverse, desirable futures. So this ability of imagining is something everybody has, and this is also a very inclusive approach, I think. It's all about thinking and doing future. It's fostering resilience and adaptability, and its educational focus is on really a social learning skills, so to navigate these complex challenges. The workshop I did together with Moritz Böttger and the social design studio and the Kreative Lernwerkstatt Musikmittelschule am Schöpfwerk from the 12th district was about staging this brownfield, which is staging this brownfield, which is undergoing urban development, and giving the pupils a platform to show their visions, to show their scenarios, to do their futures. And on another level, it was trying to interweave the analog and the digital ways of perceiving space. So the kids had the chance to use an Instagram account of the University of Applied Arts, and they had a safe space of showing their ways of perceiving the world or perceiving their futures in the real and in the or in the analog and in the digital virtual world. It was a project week involving 5 school mornings, and we had furthermore 2 preparation and follow-up hours in the school together with the school kids to get to know each other and to reflect what we were doing. This was really important because a school without walls is not very usual to kids, and they were quite excited to work in the open field with all of the insects and so on. So we really need this this frame, or have a beginning and an end in their environment, in their school, to give them the freedom of creatively unfold their to creatively act in the so-called free space at Zukunftshof area. So the method, it's a 5-step process. We went on the field with a frame. It was the format of the smartphone. So children had the idea of having a huge smartphone in their hands, but it was all about co-creation. So every single step that you are usually going through to portray or to show yourself on social media platforms is now as a step of doing something together. So the first thing was, as a group, walking with one big smartphone through around the fields to find the right spot. The next step was trying to use the smartphone as an interface, as a gateway. The smartphone was placed in front of the wooden frame, the analog frame, and the kids were writing stories about what they see if they look through this gateway, in other words. The third day was about creating hands-on costumes and figures, some creatures that would be a mixture of machine, animal, surrounding material, and so on, that would be able to live in these future scenarios. And on the 4th day, we built them just with what we found around. And on the last day, we staged our scenes and invited some people from the city administration and some other school kids to play through the sets. So so it was always parallel activities of doing something in the physical environment and showing it in the online. And we were a team of at least 4 or 5 teachers from different fields. So we had an interdisciplinary team from media education, social design, architecture, art and design, mentoring the pupils doing their stories. So as you see, it was very rough, very hands-on, working with cardboard and easiest materials on the one side. On the other side, it was not an easy topic to think about future and climate change and this brownfield, which is undergoing urban transformation in the next few years. Yeah, just to sum it up again, the educational approach was a transmedia approach, combining interdisciplinary fields of art, scenography, speculative design, for collaborative climate action during future. The emancipative potential, I would say, is that youth is supported participating in a climate conscious urban design, because this is a real lab, so it's a real process they were part of, which is very important if you talk about participation. It's not about doing participation for the image, or but it's really about participation to do it for the kids, to give them a chance. It's a political act to give them the chance to be part of something and to change something. Future goals could be to enhance this dialogue between pupils, youth, and city administrations or city planners, so in collaborative design contexts. Yeah, this is a video, so you get an idea of what I was talking about.
The Transmaking Urban Living Lab in Vienna took place at Circle, future farm, which is today still surrounded by wild fields and meadows, but will soon be transformed into a new dense urban quarter. We see a huge potential in this yet undeveloped land, what we also call a no man's land, to actually develop new ideas and visions of what a climate change city could look like to them. The young people we worked with actually turned bare fields into playing field for hockey. They transformed the site of Zukunftshof into a film set for video workshops, and they used the local produce growing around Neusiedl to prepare a delicious 5-course dinner that was presented at Zukunftshof, and actually showed how we can playfully and in a very creative way reimagine what the city could look like in the future.
How can we sense and feel a place? And in capturing the fleetingness that is inscribed in this specific place, we are exploring ideas for the future.
So this was a students' workshop with social design students from the University of Applied Arts.
Do some at work now. We're gonna double up. No, actually, this is what we're gonna do.
Yeah, because we gonna do the water dance here, but this is just something we want to try though.
In this area, there will be experiences mostly in the field, but also in the sheds behind. And there's also one over there. I think if you just walk around, you will find them. Interesting experience.
Should be invited.
Ships.
All about that.
Gab Kreaturen, gab Vektorobjekte, die wir uns überlegt haben, die super Fähigkeiten haben, um immer beim Paket zurechtzukommen. Und daraus sind dann zwei Welten, die geboren worden.
On the last day of the Pre-Encrypted Realities workshop, we invited other school children to join us at Zukunft. And it was really great to see how they actually stored the film sets that we had created and were really eager and excited to play all the different characters that were part of the scenarios that the students had brought us.
What stood out to me were in the B moments when the teenagers shared personal stories from their lives and clear that they were having fun and felt comfortable opening up. Also, when their initial distraction and shyness turned into real interest and creative involvement.
Es ist alles etwas.
So well,
That's it? Yes.
that's it.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think we have a couple of minutes left, so maybe we can have some questions, a little bit of discussion. I think there are some people online, maybe they can either write, but I think they can even unmute themselves if they would like. You just have to change the sound. If you click on this triangle again and set this here Lautsprecher to meeting owl, then we should be able to hear them if there are some questions in the chat. If there are none, I have some. I just wrote them down, just a minute.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
My question is, in which areas do you see potential to shape narratives and to do future besides from a research project for young students? So in maybe the everyday life of students, where do you think are areas where they can practice this? Maybe like an utopia for you.
Yeah, this is really a good question. I think there are these everyday routines in every institution, at universities, in schools, in the kindergarten. They are mostly around eating, socializing. So there is in these everyday routines a potential to integrate other actors to, for example, I think it could be really interesting to bring plants into the classroom So kids could really care about the plants, using technology, but in a sustainable way to understand how you can use it, but also working with coding to get some idea of how I can communicate with my plants. So I think there could be very creative moments on a very low level, and it should be implemented in these everyday routines, where you have also this social impact, because you're telling your mother, your father, and so it's going out.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, so I was particularly in the beginning, you kind of stressed this, I forgot the term, but kind of that we should consider not only kind of the humans, but also the nature and the world and this kind of perspective on things. And I think particularly in computer science, it's very much absent in a way. So now it's kind of a new view on it, is kind of to consider the user, right? So it's user-centric kind of things, but we haven't yet thought about so much about, what's beyond the humans and the users. And so I was wondering, because based on your background, right, you're in spatial planning and architecture, whether, you're doing this research, but whether in these disciplines there's kind of this awareness, or are they also kind of struggling with it? Because just as an example, we're doing the student project at the moment. So we're going to Seestadt, and we're also kind of doing some projects there. And when we look at what the students basically said, Seestadt is a kind of a new project, right? There's still a lot of kind of place to build, but a lot of people felt it's very kind of sterile, right? So it's kind of not really integrating this kind of nature too much, I guess. And so I was wondering, what's the kind of view from your perspective, or your field's kind of perspective?
Yeah, well, in architecture and urban planning disciplines, the educational turn what was about 10 years ago, maybe because the physical space is much more visible and calling. I mean, it's obvious that building is producing CO2. So this is very related and very obvious. I think there are some projects of the younger generation that are still very human-centered, but there is also a general shift towards in the context of thinking about the Anthropocene, where the human behavior has a real impact on the health, and the earthly survival is not possible anymore if we not switch this kind of perspective and try to try to find new ways, new narratives. As I already mentioned, it was Bateson, I think, who said it's not about the fittest survives, but the survival of the organism with the environments. So I think in the planning discipline, it's much more obvious, but also in your discipline, I heard about some very interesting projects of how to produce fair hardware in the educational context. There is a real interest in sustainable ways of how you can teach kids that every thing they use is or does need electricity, and this is also causing effects.
Would you say it's kind of maybe a process that we're kind of going through, right? That we kind of become more aware of, well, first of ourselves, but then now at this stage, maybe not only about ourselves, but also the impact that we have on the environment, I think.
I think it's a process, and that's why I think it's a very important topic you have, this responsible computing. Yeah, and the question is what I'm responsible for and what is the realm of responsibility. And I think it is, if you look for in these notions of responsibility, there could be some answers because you can't take responsibility for everything what's going on around you. This is also a very depressing way of trying to be responsible for. But if you think about responsibility, it's much more about self-reflection, about the pace, and also about intuition. So it's a way of taking the bigger, taking the bigger or complex situations into account, but really looking what does it mean for me and what can I do now. And I think in this kind of way, we can handle these huge problems, and we need some learning environments where we can practice this together, because doing this alone is you can't really tell the stories if you're alone.
I think this is one of the challenges, right? That is also, I think, in this in the topic that is not only computer science but it's also education, right? You have to kind of approach it from different sides. So I really liked it also. I think the example where you had the Instagram account that students use, I think it was a very kind of clever way of combining the physical with the digital, right? So I think that was really, really interesting. Are there any more questions or somebody online? I mean, we are a little bit over time, so that's all right. If not, then I would just like thank you very much again for your presentation. It was really interesting. And maybe you'll join us in some other discussion some other time. And we'll definitely continue on the topic and also try to get some interdisciplinary views on it. So again, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.